My name's Alexa, and I'm going to be presenting about my podcast, Voices of Medicine. So, to start off, this podcast was created to provide listeners with information about the different careers in medicine. In my podcast, we interview medical professionals to hear about their experiences in their field, and we also provide history, statistics, and more information about both specific careers and more broad areas in the medical field. So, this podcast was created by my friend Ananya and I over the summer with the goal of informing people about just how broad the field of medicine and healthcare can be. We've worked really hard to put this project into motion, and our first episode was actually released last week, and we have plenty more ready to come soon. So, our mission. This podcast began with my own search for information about medical fields as I realized that I wanted to become a doctor. As someone with no doctors in my family or really any connections to medicine, it was really hard to find someone in the field to hear from and, get some like direct experiences from. I decided that this was a problem that probably a lot of people could relate to, especially students who wanted to go into medicine but didn't know much about it or have any people to inform them. From there, I decided to create this podcast with my friend so that we could educate students, especially minorities and those with no pre-existing connections, about the medical field and opportunities that are available. So who benefits from this podcast? Well, really anyone who listens to the podcast can benefit from the information we provide. However, this podcast was created more specifically for people that don't have the connections to medicine and want to learn more about it. Not everyone has someone in the medical field that they can ask questions to, so this podcast is made to make that information accessible to everyone. So the process of how we create our episodes consists of several steps. So first, we choose an area of medicine, and this can range from a very specific topic, like in our first episode, we covered psychiatry and we spoke to a psychiatrist, and it really just focused on that one specific career in medicine. Whereas we can also, our next episode is going to cover a much more broad area, such as immunology, which can cover a lot more different jobs, but is still an area of medicine. Then we do a lot of research, which includes looking at statistics, looking at different jobs and advancements in the field, and kind of compiling all that information. Next, we find a professional and we interview them. This can be a pretty tricky step because you have to reach out to people that you don't really know, and then you have to ask them questions about their career and their experiences, and that can be kind of challenging sometimes. Then we record all of the parts of our podcast and we edit it all together, which includes putting the interview in, adding music, blending it together so that it sounds good. And finally, we upload it to different platforms like Spotify so that everyone can hear it. So as we move forward with our podcast, we have a few goals that we would love to reach. Our first is to grow our audience. We want our podcast to reach others so that we can make an impact and make the information accessible to anyone that wants to learn more about medicine. Second, we would love to cover more careers because medicine is an extremely broad area. So there's really hundreds of careers to review. And the more careers that we cover, the more information that people will have and more experiences will be made available to everyone. And third, we would love to contact more professionals. It can be pretty challenging to find professionals to interview, but we always strive to keep making these connections with others. And honestly, this has probably helped me grow a lot as a person, since going beyond my comfort zone and reaching out to people I don't know has made me stronger and more confident. Thank you so much for listening. And if you would like to learn more about my podcast, you can obviously listen to us on Spotify. I linked it below, and you can go to our Instagram page to learn more about it, or our website, which again is linked on the slide. And we are always looking for new people to interview. So if you are interested in participating in an interview, or if you know someone that could be interested, please reach out to us through any of the ways that I listed before. Thank you so much for listening, and I hope you have enjoyed my presentation.